building a network is imperative with what I believe we're going to be facing in this world. Um, you can't do everything. The lone wolf thing doesn't work. It doesn't exist. It made a great movie. That's it. If you try to do this by yourself, you're gonna probably die. I mean, there's maybe a handful of people in this world that can do it on their own, and you can never do it well on your own.
Right.
Survivor barely surviving. I'm more about I want to flourish, right? I want to do great. I want to just,
Yeah.
as best as I can possibly be. And it takes a community to do that. It takes you can't just be the blacksmith and the homesteader and the garden guy and the cook. You can't do all these things. And that's why as civilizations we come together and form these communities because that's what it took to survive.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think you're right. People talk about the whole Rambo thing, right? And what they don't know is the first blood, the Rambo movie and all that when they talk about Rambo. What they don't know is that in the book, Colonel Troutman that comes and pulls Rambo out at the end, in the book, Colonel Troutman kills that dude at the end of the book. Rambo doesn't make it out.
I did not even know that.
Yeah,
Man, I learned something new every
Rambo
day.
dies. I think he blasts him with a shotgun or something, but he kills him in the book. And so it
Okay.
goes back to your community, right? You
Right.
need that. And I like to tell people community doesn't have to be, hey, what do I have here with my neighbors or stuff? It'd be great if you have that. I'm living in,
Yeah.
in an area. I have some of the people who probably don't appreciate the Second Amendment in the neighborhood around me. So my level of
That
wanting to
happens.
go out and interact with them is not very big. Um, but at the same time, you can have a network. You may
Yes.
not have a place like you do. You're fortunate enough to have out in the country and doing your thing, but you might have a friend, or you can
Yeah.
develop a network of people that have something that say, hey, if something happens, can
Yes.
I go to you? Even though I live in the city, I think it's a 14-foot uh, double axle utility trailer. And if something happens, I drop the ramp, I load up about 2 years worth of food and all my stuff in it. And, I'm down the road
Hit
and
the
I have
road.
plans to go to, people that are out in the country. Like, hey, I'll show up with extra. But I think that's an important thing to look at because, people always say that, well, I don't have that. You can
Right.
make it happen.
No, you can, and you have to open that mind up a little bit and venture outside your comfort zone. I mean, look, when it comes to preparedness, one of the toughest things about mountain readiness was trying to get a group of people who don't like people all in the same spot. You know, a bunch of instructors who would rather be out in the woods talking to the trees than to even look at another human being to come to the spot. And look, it's easy to get in that mindset. I'm no different. I could lock myself away here on the back 40 and I could go for months and never see civilization. But the reality is that we are made as humans to coincide with other human beings, right? And the whole concept of iron sharpens iron, right? We that's how we grow. That's how we learn. You get too close minded being locked away from the world, and I don't mean that in the way of we're not going there, but you have to have those human interactions. You
Yeah.
have to build those relationships. And let's be honest, if your neighbor sucks and he's not a person that you want to hang with, it'd be good to know that before worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like I just had a neighbor bought the property way over across the mountainside here. I went and introduced myself, ended up an awesome dude. But I also want to know if he's not so awesome
Right.
because that may be the guy that you need to keep an eye on. Who knows? Who knows? But knowing beforehand is way easier than trying to figure this out under duress.
Yeah. Well, and you can see you're progressing, right? Because if this would have been when you were a kid, it would have been, hey, ma, there's smoke. Time to
There's
move.
smoke. There's smoke. It was. My father to this day, my father, he was 42 years old when I was born, and I'm the oldest of three.
Okay.
And my father is going to be 88 this year, I think.
Oh, wow.
So he's born in 36. He was one of them Depression era guys, right?
Right.
Kids grew up with nothing. That was a family of nine. and just hardcore. One of them hardcore guys, and he's still to this day at 89 years old is perfectly content. I think he goes to town maybe once a month.
Mhm.
He lives out of the garden, he hunts, he fishes, he splits his own firewood, burns wood, still living off grid. He does have a house now, at least. I'll give him that. I'm gonna applaud him for that. He got him a house. It's a small house, but he finally got one. But that's good. But he's by himself. Can't get him to leave. He lives out in Missouri. I'm like,
Right.
Father, just sell that. Come here. He's like, nope. This is where I'll die. You'll find me one day out here by myself. I'll be dealing. If you don't hear from me for a few weeks, I'm probably dead. I'm like, all right. As long as he's happy. But it doesn't really work for that long term survival aspect of things.